Dean Thurman, Northeastern faculty and staff, fellow Huskies and supporters, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. As I look at you now, at all of you, a sea of smiles and gowns and tassels, I'm filled with a sense of profound admiration for what you have accomplished. The many sacrifices you've endured to be here today have at last paid off. The nights you stayed up late, the meals you ate huddled beside your laptops, the weekends you spent on campus, all of that is now behind you. And today we celebrate with you an accomplishment that nobody can take away from you. If I asked you, why did you go through all of this? I will likely hear as many different responses as the number of graduates in this room. But I'm sure all responses are going to share a similar theme around the journey you undertook to bring meaning to your life and joy to your heart. Along the way, you undoubtedly faced some loneliness, some dissatisfaction, and most of all, some fear. Fear so intense that at times it forced you to consider a serious choice. Do you carry on with the rest of your journey of transformation, or do you fold, give up, and go no further? All of you in this room made the decision to carry on. That's why you're here today for this ceremony. But guess what? Your journey is not yet complete. You aren't done. In a way, today's celebration marks the opportunity to begin an even larger sacrifice than the hurried meals and the studious weekends. You have the opportunity to build on today's graduation, to grow beyond who you are today, and to take on new challenges. If you don't, you will diminish the significance and rob the promise of the accomplishments we celebrate today. So by all means, celebrate today and tomorrow, and maybe even next week. But then get back on the trail, barrel forward, and brace yourselves for new fears. Don't let up. I know you can do better. I know you can be more, happier, and more capable. I see it in you. I know you can all grow beyond who you are today, and to do that, you have to jump back on that trail and carry on. You have to reacquaint yourself with that old foe, the fear of the unknown. You've done this before, or you wouldn't be here today. You've faced your fears, conquered them, and come out on the other side happier, stronger, smarter, more capable. You've learned that being scared during periods of intense transformation is perfectly normal. After all, fear and courage are the two sides of the same coin. I'm here to assure you that when I look back on every important decision I have taken in my life, I realize how afraid I was at the time. I was petrified, and yet I pushed forward. If you can press on no matter what, even when it's the darkest, you can transform yourselves in ways you never thought possible. To prove my point, I'd like to take you through 3 transformational moments in my life. 3 times when I had to defeat my fears in search for happiness and fulfillment. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Bulgaria, a small country in Eastern Europe. I immigrated to America when I was 20. I've always had the desire to build things, to create something from scratch that would help improve other people's lives and outlast my own. When I was a boy, my father would tell me that a person lives until he's remembered. And then he would add, "My son, live in such ways so you would never be forgotten." My first transformational moment was when I arrived in the United States on a sunny day in September 1995 from Bulgaria with exactly $900 in my pocket to attend Northeastern University as an undergraduate freshman. Northeastern had awarded me a merit scholarship covering 50% of my tuition and housing, but in reality, 50% was as good as zero because the average household income in Bulgaria in 1995 was $4,000 US. To this day, I don't know how my parents did it. They liquidated their life savings and borrowed as much as they could from anyone they knew. When done, they had raised the funds for my first quarter, which was $3,000, a one-way ticket from Bulgaria to Boston, and another $900 for me to live on. So on this sunny day in early September, a yellow taxi cab unloaded me in the middle of Northeastern's campus. I found the student housing office on the map and went there to get my dorm accommodations. The student folks, however, told me that I had arrived early and that the school year wouldn't start for another couple of weeks. That's when the dorms would open and I could move in. Until then, they suggested I stay at a nearby YMCA, so that's what I did. With my belongings stuffed in 2 suitcases, one in each hand, I walked across to the Y and asked to book a room. $80 a night, they said. In a daze, I paid for 1 night. The room was smaller than a quarter of this podium, with 2 bunk beds on one side and just enough space for a person to squeeze through on the other. I had no idea what to do. Staying at the YMCA would burn through my entire $900 in less than 2 weeks. I put my suitcases on the floor, one on each side. I put my forehead on the mattress of the top bunk bed, and I started crying. After about 10 minutes of solid crying, I picked myself up and walked back to the student housing office. I told them they had to help me find another way. An employee listened, nodding her head, then went into the office in the back and emerged 15 minutes later telling me that the honors dorm was open and I could stay there. She then walked around the reception desk from her side to mine, holding my honors dorm permit. I remember every detail with clarity. She spread her arms and gave me a big hug saying, "Welcome to America." I lived on my $900 for as long as I could. I remember one particular month when I spent exactly $10 for the full 30 days. I could either get a haircut or buy floppy disks for school. I bought the floppy disks. And for those of you who don't know what these are, come see me after the ceremony. Later in the winter of 1995, I found an on-campus job willing to hire an international student. I had been looking for a paying job for months because my money was rapidly dwindling no matter how many haircuts I saved on. My new job was to be a proctor in the Northeastern University dorms. I volunteered for the night shifts because they paid the most, $12 an hour, a sheer fortune for me at the time. I went to classes during the day and worked at night. I eventually graduated as the valedictorian of the College of Business in 1995, and Microsoft in Seattle hired me as a full-time employee after I had completed 2 co-ops there while at Northeastern. Looking back on my undergraduate freshman days, I was clearly scared. I keep a token to remind me of that, a framed ATM receipt showing a withdrawal of $20 and a remaining account balance of $567.91. That was my last withdrawal before I landed the night shift proctor job. And that $567 was all that a scared and culture-shocked 20-year-old Bulgarian had at the time. That was the lowest of all low points for me. But it also serves as a reminder that being scared is okay, that fear is okay, as long as you find the strength somehow to push forward. The second transformational moment I'd like to tell you about was when I left Microsoft in 2013. I'd been there for 14 years and had become a director of business development in charge of the Xbox first-party games portfolio. I was negotiating hundreds of millions of dollars worth of deals on behalf of Microsoft. I managed a team of 6 senior business managers. I had become a US citizen. I owned my house debt-free. Life was good. Life was comfortable, and the dream of that immigrant freshman who was saving on haircuts and planning to build something truly remarkable was a distant memory. But one day, I looked at my ATM framed receipt and realized I had become too complacent and had abandoned my father's advice to live so I wouldn't be forgotten. How could I have allowed a director-level corporate job to sway me away from the beauty of my immigrant dream, the dream to build what doesn't yet exist, to help people improve their lives and give meaning to my own life in the process? So in 2013, I decided that enough was enough. At the time, Amazon was recruiting me. But mind you, Amazon in 2013 was not the Amazon of today. They made me an offer, and being a highly secretive company, they couldn't tell me what I'd be working on. Still, I faced my fear and I said yes. I left Microsoft and joined Amazon. Shortly after, I found out that I was to be one of 4 people tasked to start a new Amazon corporate division dedicated to video games. The new division would be called Amazon Game Studios, and I was to present a plan to Jeff Bezos himself on how to accomplish that. I also found out that the Bezos review was scheduled for my 4th week on the job. I didn't know at the time where the restrooms were, and yet I had to convince Amazon's CEO to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in a market segment in which Amazon had no experience. If you were a fly on the wall in that Bezos review, you would have seen Jeff Bezos and a dozen of other people in the room. 4 of these people are convincing Bezos how to take Amazon in the uncharted direction of video games, and one of these 4 is me, a 4-week Amazon novice. Bezos finishes reading our document, then looks me straight in the eye and asks, "So what exactly makes games a better bet than anything else we could invest in?" Talk about pressure. Fast forward to today, and Amazon has invested over $1 billion in games, acquired the game streaming platform Twitch, and developed its own 3D game engine. But more importantly for me, when I joined Amazon, a wonderful metamorphosis occurred. The fear was back. For months, I would go to work worried I would be fired by the end of each day. My fear and discomfort had returned, but I was challenged and energized by them. In hindsight, was this transformation uncomfortable for me? Yes. Was it scary? More than I can describe. But in the process, I also rediscovered myself. I grew beyond my current circumstances, restarted my journey of building, of improving people's lives and transforming mine. 5 years later, I embarked on another transformation, leaving Amazon to start my own small business. I had been with Amazon for 5 years. I was married and I had a son. I had learned more than I can describe, but 5 wonderful years in, my transformation curve was flattening, and I was staring wistfully at my framed ATM receipt once again. The sense of fear and discomfort that had propelled me to perform earlier on was stunted and dormant. So guess what I did? I manufactured that fear and jumped yet again onto a path of transformation. In 2018, I left Amazon and more than $1 million of unvested Amazon stock to start something new. I had no idea what I would do. I just knew I had to invite that fear back and grow beyond who I was. So here I am today, standing at this podium after a year of experimentation and prototypes as the CEO of a small business that helps prepare talented job seekers to interview with technology companies like Amazon. I have 6 hourly employees and more than 1,100 customers worldwide. I don't know yet if this business will be the truly remarkable thing I have been dreaming to build. That's far from certain yet. But I know that the magic is back. The magic that a lot of my customers are immigrants like me and like a lot of you. And we all treasure the transformational journeys that my business unlocks for us. I recently had a customer who pounded her fist on the table saying, "Nick, you don't understand. The next 5 hours of interviews are going to determine the next 10 years of my life." I smiled and nodded, and even though I could not convince her that I understood, I knew right then and there that she'd be okay. Because I could sense the fear in her voice, but also her determination and grit. In closing, my advice is this: do not let up. Celebrate. Celebrate your graduation tonight and tomorrow, maybe even until the end of next week. But then put your party hats away and restart your courage. Recapture the fear of your sleepless nights and of the meals beside your laptops. Push yourselves to grow beyond who you are today. Continue to transform yourselves so that one day, many days from now, when you look back on December 13th, 2019, and on the framed Northeastern diploma on your wall, you will feel happy and whole, confident that you're continuing the pursuit of your true self and building a legacy you will leave for the generations to come. Congratulations again from the bottom of my heart, and thank you for inspiring me with your achievements today and for allowing me to be a part of your graduation.